Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Josh from Nightmare on Woodsboro Lake. Tonight I am doing a Q&A that was recommended to me by a good friend of mine, Art with Horror. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, I definitely recommend it. He always puts out great content and on a regular basis as well. So definitely want to give him a shout out and thank him for recommending that I do the Q&A. So yeah, give him a subscribe, like, go comment on some of his stuff. He's got great stuff. He's also on Instagram. I definitely recommend following him as well. Great guy. Love him dearly. So let's just jump right into this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time ranting. I know I tend to do that a lot in my videos. That's why I have that disclaimer in the beginning, because it's so raw, unscripted. But we're just going to skip that bull crap and we're going to just jump right into the Q&A. Sound good? Sweet. So, first question was favorite slasher. So that was kind of a toss-up for me. But honestly, I'd be lying to myself if I didn't say that Scream is my favorite slasher movie. It's just my favorite movie in general, but it's definitely my favorite slasher. Because I love how realistic it is. I mean, the fact that two people going around murdering people, you think there's just one killer out there, but there's two orchestrating the whole thing, kind of making an alibi for one another, essentially. Pretending to, kill each other. Well, like Stu pretends to kill Billy, so that wipes away suspicion from Sydney's mind. I just love the whole premise of that movie, and just how aware it was and meta, and like the whole there are certain rules that one must abide by when trying to survive a horror movie. The movie just was that whole whodunit, lots of red herrings, and kind of just figuring it out like playing a game of Clue. And that made for a really good slasher film, and it definitely revitalized the horror movie scene when it released back in 1996. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite slasher movie. All right. Worst sequel ever. Man, there's just so many like shitty follow-ups to horror movies, and to be honest, I had trouble picking this out too, but I decided on Sinister 2. Now, I love the original, but the second one just seemed to be regurgitated and recycled like bullcrap. It was just the same plot, different set of characters. I felt like it was just rehashing the same shit. And I mean, as enjoyable as it is, I don't know, it just didn't land for me. I felt like it was perfectly fine as a standalone movie and didn't require a sequel. So, yeah, Sinister 2 would have to be my worst sequel. So then that brings up horror movies that I wish more people would talk about, and that would be Sinister. Honestly, I think that was a fantastic movie, and as popular as I thought it was, like I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, I've never seen Sinister, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, So the whole premise is this writer, he like writes on court cases and all this stuff, and like um, him and his family moved to this house in this smaller town and find these 8 millimeter like film reels, and each of these film reels is depicting these families that lived in the house before them. uh, did I say predicting? No, I didn't mean predicting, sorry. It's it's showing these families deaths. um, so like somebody's like filming these families being like drowned and hung and like killed in their car, like all these different ways. Um, and as you pay attention, like certain pictures and certain things, this Babylonian pagan deity, Bagul, is popping up everywhere throughout this film, um, in these photos and things like that. And you find out that he's actually a soul eater of children. And so he's brain, by the end of the movie, you're like, you're thinking that he's the one killing everybody, which essentially, technically, he kind of is, but he's taking these children's souls and they're becoming these mindless killing machines, and they're killing their own families. And in the end, it ends up happening to the writer's family as well, played by Ethan Hawke. Um, so that was just crazy, like twist at the end. You're like, holy shit! So like, the little kids are the one like killing their own family. So I thought that was such a great twist, and loved the whole movie. I mean, it kept me pretty locked in when I saw it. So yeah, Sinister is the horror movie I wish more people would talk about. Um, Best remake. Um, so there's been quite a few remakes I enjoy. I mean, I know it's hit and miss. Like sometimes it's just as good as the original. Most of the time, it doesn't live up to the original. I mean, some of the originals are really cheesy and stuff, but they just have this certain place in your heart that the remake just can't match up to. Um, but for me, it would be George A. Romero's Land, or sorry, I almost said Land of the Dead. That was a pretty decent movie. George A. Romero is one of my favorite directors. I'm sure you've heard me mention that in plenty of my videos. But no, it's Dawn of the Dead. I really enjoyed that remake. Um, I thought it was a good movie from start to finish. It had, God, quite the cast. It had Sarah Polley, Ving Rhames, Kevin Zeger, Ty Burrell, James Gunn, um, and it even featured Tom Savini in it. And he is, man, he is such a great guy. Like, I've always wanted to like do like special effects makeup and like do that kind of thing, and he's so masterful at that stuff. What a legend. So um, yeah, I think I mentioned Ving Rhames, Kevin Zegers, um, and so many other people that were in this movie. Um, so the whole premise of the movie is these people end up holed up in this mall, um, with these asshole security guards, who eventually they had to like flip the tables on and lock up before like everybody became, you know, more friendly with each other. And mainly that's because these security guards were assholes and they thought they were king of that hill. And, just because they worked there, they were like, we run this shit. You guys can stay in these like locked up stores, and then, we'll allow you to take bathroom breaks and stuff, but you're going to be monitored. And so just straight up douchebags. But this disease that's turning everyone into zombies happens relatively quickly. So, you got like the police officer, the people from the church, the nurse, this rich playboy asshole played by Ty Burrell. You might know him from like Modern Family and other such things. And just an interesting mix of people. So they're all like living in this mall. Things are running on short supply. They want to go somewhere better. Find out the rich guy has a boat. They make these plans to like run through the city in these like souped up like mall buses and get to this guy's yacht, to go out to try to find like any uninhabited island and start over, essentially. Um, but there's just so much stuff that goes on throughout that movie that kept it interesting, and some emotional scenes and really good practical and digital stuff that they did in that movie. It's just a solid movie, and I really love zombie films and TV shows. Like, I've always been a Walking Dead fan, as much shit as that show gets. Always been a fan of that. Like I said, George A. Romero is one of my top directors. I love Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, all that stuff. Good shit. 28 Days Later, that's not George A. Romero, but I'm totally on board with zombies. So that is why it is my favorite remake. But I had a runner up as well, The Wolfman, released in 2010, featuring Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, and Emily Blunt, and a few other recognizable faces. God, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name now, but he was Elrond from Lord of the Rings, Matrix. Why am I blanking on his name? I don't know, but he's a fantastic actor. Um, but I really enjoyed that remake as well. I thought that was a really solid, like, remake to the classic Hollywood black and white, like, Wolfman film. Great kills, great like practical effects and gore, and just so solid. So yeah, that was a runner up, but I ultimately went with Dawn of the Dead. So um, horror movie that did live up to its hype. For me, I mean, I might catch flack for this, but more recently with Halloween Kills, I honestly felt that for me, it held up to its hype. I felt like it was a great bridge between the 2018 and hopefully where we end up with Halloween Ends, as long as they follow that perfect arc and ultimately either end Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, and just complete this circle that we keep going in. And whether that's both of them die, like, or, because when Halloween Kills, Laurie Strode finally came to terms with Michael Myers isn't after her. He's just a mindless killing, or like a soulless killing machine who just kills anyone who stands in his way or crosses his path, essentially. And so it's not all about her, and she finally grasps that, I think, by the end of that film. But had excellent cinematography, really good kills, really creative kills, and Michael Myers in that movie is just a brutal badass. And I really think, for me, like I said, it held up to the hype. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that doesn't matter. It's just relative to the individual. So, I mean, you're welcome to have your opinions, and I'm welcome to have mine, and that's just how I feel. So yeah, that was the horror movie that I felt did live up to its hype. Favorite horror animal. Now, this one I've never ever thought about. So it's hard because you got all these good movies, and like my friend Art said in his video, like Jaws is a great one. Like, God, that freaking movie made me afraid to go in the ocean. Like, and really like tripped me up. So I definitely can agree with his choice on that. But another one that kind of had me going, which essentially there was two other ones that really like kind of oh. Um, I ended up going with Lake Placid. Um, giant crocodile, alligator, whatever. Haven't seen it in so long, but like just that movie, like they're brutal animals. The way that they'll wrestle animals, like in real life, the like real crocodiles and alligators, that the way that they wrestle and like eat, they're just freaking apex predators for sure. And you find out that I think it was Betty White. She's like, she fed her husband to this crocodile and stuff, and like it was just this massive frickin' hunter that just didn't care what it ate. So I really enjoyed that. But also as a kid, the one that really got me going was Anaconda too. The original one with Jennifer Lopez and like Ice Cube and stuff. Man, it's been a minute, but I mean, those were some good movies where like an animal was like the central focus of the horror movie. Wasn't a big fan of like Piranha or any of those. I mean, I don't know, they just didn't do it for me. But yeah, favorite horror animal would be the crocodile from Lake Placid. Um, Favorite books that are not by Stephen King. Easy for me growing up. You know, I loved Stephen King and I loved Goosebumps and R.L. Stine, but this book that I really enjoyed wasn't by either of them, and it was House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer. Um, so essentially, this book is about this kid who ends up living in this dystopian society, like um, where there's like this overlord in like I think it's in New Mexico. It's been a while since I've read it, but you come to find out that he is simply a clone of this tyrannical leader, this dictator, and he's been making all these clones to harvest their organs to continue to help him keep living. Um, and this is eventually revealed to the main character, um, who had no idea. He thought he was his own individual. He wasn't like some carbon copy of anyone else. And I, as a growing up, I've always loved that book, and I would love to revisit it. It's been so long, but for me, that is definitely like my favorite book that is not by Stephen King, and I definitely recommend anyone who hasn't read it to check that out. And once again, that's House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer. Um, so yeah, best fire stunt. So for me, that would have to go to Kane Hodder, who is known for doing a lot of his stunts, and he is such a badass. Um, but in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, when he's fighting, I think her name was Alice, um, and they're down in the basement, and she like soaks him in gasoline with her telekinetic powers, and then just opens up the furnace and lights him on fire. Dude, Kane Prodder, Kane Prodder. I was mixing my words here because I was gonna say props to Kane Hodder, but like, dude, Kane Hodder, serious props. Dude, you are a straight up badass. I don't know if you will ever see this, you probably never will, but you are an amazing actor, and I think you did such a fantastic job as Jason. So yeah, that is, I feel like, the best fire stunt for me. Um, Not only because it was a badass stunt, but it's with one of my favorite horror characters aside from Ghostface, and that is Jason Voorhees. Always been a huge fan. So yeah, moving on. Horror movie I feel that only I enjoyed. Sorry, I have all the questions like written down so that I can remember what the questions are. Um, so for me, it is that newer Netflix film, There Is Someone Inside Your House. Or so There's Somebody Inside Your House. Um, that got a lot of hate. It has its imperfections. I know that. You know, there was a lot that they could have done better, but I enjoyed the premise of the movie. I enjoyed there was a little bit of character development. They didn't go like so far that it like made the movie like excruciatingly long, but they kind of gave you like a little insight on these people's lives. Um, but I really enjoyed the premise of the movie for sure, and enjoyed how the killer would 3D print the victims' faces and literally like either release stuff virally or like have show that he was like taking photos and stalking these people and make them face their transgressions and things that they're trying to hide from other people. I loved how he just put it out there for the world to see, and then he would kill them, and the last thing that they would see is their face, like the ultimate reflection. Um, so I really enjoyed that, and um, yeah, not much to really say on that. I like I said, I just enjoyed the plot, and I enjoyed the the killer's you know motive and operation. Really, like I think that was solid for me. I mean, if they would have fixed like a few kinks, I think a lot more people would have loved that movie. That it had a lot of solid points to it and a lot of great stuff. And I think another thing for me would have maybe got a little more inventive with some of the kills. Um, because you can get all the stabbing and whatever you want, throat slashing and stuff like that. But one thing that a lot of people enjoy, including myself, is stepping outside of the box and coming up with a kill that you're like, holy shit. I never even thought of that. Like, that was that was a pretty crazy kill, you know? So, I mean, aside from its faults, I'm going to stand by that decision when I say that is the horror movie I feel that only I enjoyed. So yeah, that's once again, that's there's someone inside your house or there's somebody inside your house. I really don't care. It's like almost midnight. So, um, favorite preacher. Another controversial thing I'm sure I'm going to receive flack for. Disclaimer, these movies, I watched them well before I knew anything about the director's shit that he was doing. And that would be the creature from Jeepers Creepers. I know there's a lot of like circulating stuff around the director and some horrible things that I'm not going to go into that he's done and been accused of. And, you know, I don't condone any of that at all whatsoever. But, I like I said, I watched those movies well before knowing any of that information. And for me, the creature from Jeepers Creepers was such a interesting movie monster for me. I really liked how he would sense um, people's fears um, and feed off of them. And then, he would pick the traits that he enjoyed most of those victims and like would eat those body parts and they would become part of him. Um, I really enjoyed that a lot. I just when I first saw those movies, I thought that was a very inventive monster, and um, I think it still holds up to this day. The original Jeepers Creeper is definitely a solid movie. You take the director out of the picture and take all that shit and just kind of like if you don't scrutinize on that, it's a very solid film and a very solid movie monster. So I stand by that decision no matter how much flack I'm going to catch. Like I said, I don't condone um, the stuff that director has been accused of and has done. So once again, my favorite creature would have to be the Jeepers Creepers creature. All right. Horror movie I didn't think I'd like, but I did. Ooh. Um, as cheesy as it might sound, I think it was The Descent. Um, I really enjoyed watching these people that were like spelunking or like cliff, yeah, or like cave diving and doing all this stuff in there and like exploring. I'm pretty sure that was the movie. I'm drawing a blank. Like I said, I didn't script all this out, so like I'm just kind of going right off the top of my head here, but I really enjoyed how they were like going through these caves and the creatures that were like lurking in the dark that would like um, pick up like sounds, I think it was. I don't think it was by scent, but it was by sounds. And like these people like struggling to survive and get out of these caves. Um, a very basic premise, and I think I went into that movie not thinking that it that I'd like it. Um, I feel like I more of went into it thinking, oh, this will be just a fun watch to mark it off the list, kind of just time killer. But I actually really enjoyed it, and like the last final girl got real primitive, and you know they were like struggling in the dark and like trying to like not attract these creatures, and I think her like primal instincts really kicked in And I think it was just a really, really interesting movie. So I really enjoyed it, and I didn't really think I would. Um, so yeah. Um, Favorite ending? Well, this one lands on another movie that I've already mentioned, and that would be Dawn of the Dead. For me, I really enjoyed the ending because you're like, are these people going to get their happy ending? You know, when they're sailing off to find this island, um, and start their lives over, and they land on this island, and the remaining survivors get off and start going down the dock, and then they end up finding out the island is flooded with zombies as well, and it shows them um, dropping the camera and like the dog running off in the forest, and they're all like struggling to survive this um, island. And it's just showing like shots, like quick cuts, and there's like a scene like the two girls are making out in the dark, and so it made you wonder, like, did the security guard played by Kevin Zeger, did he end up dying because the love interest developed between him and one of the girls. um, you see her making out with the nurse, and you're like, is this just like them doing some kinky stuff, or like did he die? And it was just like, you're like, well, either some of them might have survived or they're all fucked. I don't know. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie as well, because some of these horror movies, they truly do get like somewhat of a happy ending. I mean, obviously they've lost a lot of people, or they're like, afraid or paranoid for the rest of their lives, but they make it out alive. And for this, it was like, nope, you know what? You thought they were safe. We're going to leave it open ended. You don't know who survives, who doesn't, but it doesn't look good. Looks very bleak. And I really enjoyed that. And the fact that they played um, Disturbed, down with the sickness at the end, too, just made it that much better for me. So, um, for a favorite ending, I'm going to say that would be Dawn of the Dead. And I think that is all the questions. But yeah, I'm glad you guys could enjoy me, or sorry, join me for this Q&A, and I hope you enjoyed my answers. And I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and some of your favorite, movies and remakes and stuff like that. So, feel free to comment below. And also, you can find me on Instagram. It's NOWL.91. That's just an abbreviation of Nightmare on Woodsboro Lake. If you didn't put that together, I'm sure all of you are smart enough to do that. But yeah, shoot me a DM, comment, and or just leave a comment on my YouTube. I am good about responding to everyone, so I will definitely get back to you. Might not always be right away, but I do love interacting with my subscribers and people that are watching my videos. So yeah, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Also, like I said, go like, comment, subscribe, and find my friend Art with Horror. Like I said, he always provides regularly updated, fantastic content, and he knows his shit. So give him some love as well. All right, and I will catch you guys later.